Long ago, Russia was a very big place. It was full of snow, bears, and very unhappy people. The boss of Russia was a man called the Tsar. He was like a king. The Tsar had a nice life. He had gold plates, big palaces, and fancy parties. But the normal people? Their life was not fancy. They were farmers. They worked all day in the cold mud. They were hungry and they had no money. They looked at the Tsar and thought, "That is not fair." Then World War I started. The Tsar said, "Come on, everyone, let's fight Germany." The people did not want to fight. They wanted bread. But they went to war anyway. It went very badly. Millions of people died. The soldiers had no shoes. They had no guns. They were very angry. In 1917, a man named Lenin came home. He had a small beard and a very big idea. He liked a book by a man named Karl Marx. The idea was called communism. Lenin said, "Why is the Tsar rich and you are poor? Let's take the Tsar's money and share it. Everyone will be equal. Everyone will be happy." The people shouted, "Yes, we want bread. We want peace." So they had a revolution. It is like a very big, messy fight. They kicked the Tsar out. Lenin became the new boss. He created a new country called the Soviet Union, or the USSR. He made a red flag with a hammer and a sickle on it. It looked very cool. But there was a problem. Not everyone liked Lenin. Some people wanted the Tsar back. So they had a civil war. This is when people from the same country fight each other. It was the Reds, Lenin's friends, against the Whites, the Tsar's friends. It was a terrible time. There was no food. Trains stopped running. But in the end, the Reds won. Lenin was happy. But then Lenin got sick and died. Now the USSR needed a new boss. Two men wanted the job. One was Trotsky. He was smart and made good speeches. The other was Stalin. Stalin was quiet, but he was very sneaky. He had a very large mustache. Stalin tricked Trotsky and kicked him out of the country. Now Stalin was the boss, and he was a very scary boss. Stalin said, "Russia is behind the other countries. We need to catch up. We need factories. We need to make steel and tractors. Fast." He made a plan. It was called the 5-year plan. He told the workers, "Work harder." If they did not work hard, they went to prison. He also looked at the farmers. He said, "Your farm is not your farm anymore. It belongs to the state. Give me your cows and your wheat." The farmers said, "No, we grew this food." Stalin was not asking. He took the food. He sold it to other countries to buy machines. The farmers had nothing to eat. Millions of people starved. It was a very dark time. But Stalin did not care. He built his factories. The USSR became strong and industrial. Then things got crazy in Europe. A man named Hitler became the boss of Germany. He was also a dictator. He hated everyone. Stalin thought, "This Hitler guy is dangerous." But then Stalin and Hitler surprised everyone. They made a deal. They shook hands. Stalin said, "I will not attack you." Hitler said, "I will not attack you. Let's divide Poland between us." Stalin thought he was safe. He took parts of Poland and attacked Finland. The war in Finland was embarrassing for Stalin because his big army struggled against the small Finnish army. But he eventually won a little bit. Stalin thought Hitler was his friend, but Hitler was lying. In 1941, Hitler attacked the USSR. He sent 3 million soldiers. It was the biggest invasion in history. Stalin was shocked. He did not believe it at first. The Germans moved very fast. They destroyed tanks and planes. They captured thousands of Russian soldiers. They got very close to Moscow. It looked like the end for the USSR. But then, something happened. It started to snow. It got cold. Really, really cold. The German soldiers did not have winter coats. Their tanks froze. The Russians were used to the cold. They had warm hats and soup. They fought back. They pushed the Germans away from Moscow. The war was long and brutal. The Germans tried to take a city called Stalingrad. They wanted the oil near there. The fighting in the city was terrible. They fought for every street and every house. But the Russians had a trick. They went around the German army and trapped them. The German commander asked Hitler, "Can I retreat?" Hitler said, "No." So the German army was trapped and had to give up. This was a huge win for Stalin. Now the Red Army pushed the Germans back. They pushed them out of Russia. They pushed them out of Poland. They marched all the way to Germany. In 1945, the Russians entered Berlin. Hitler knew he lost. The war in Europe was over. Stalin was now a superhero to his people. The USSR was a superpower. They had a huge army. But the friendship with America and Britain ended fast. America wanted countries to vote and be free. Stalin wanted countries to be communist and listen to him. He controlled half of Europe. He split Germany in half. The east side was for him. The west side was for America and friends. This was the start of the Cold War. It was called cold because they did not shoot each other. They were just very mean to each other. They built big walls so people could not leave. They built thousands of nuclear bombs. They said, "If you attack me, I will blow up the world." It was very scary. Everyone was nervous. Then Stalin died in 1953. The new boss was a man named Khrushchev. He was different. He was bald and loud. He liked corn. He said, "Stalin was a bit too mean. Let's relax a little." He let some people out of prison. Khrushchev wanted to show that communism was better than capitalism, the American way. He said, "We will win the space race." The Russians built a rocket. They put a shiny metal ball on it. It was called Sputnik. They shot it into space. Beep, beep, beep. The Americans were scared. They looked up and thought, "Oh no, a Russian robot is above us." Then Russia did it again. They put a dog named Laika in a rocket. She went to space. Then they put a man named Yuri Gagarin in a rocket. He flew around the Earth. He was the first human in space. He was a hero. The USSR was winning. But they had problems too. Life in the USSR was not fun like in the movies. People had money, but there was nothing to buy in the shops. You had to wait in line for hours just to buy toilet paper or sausages. The cars were slow and broke down a lot. You could not listen to American music. You could not wear blue jeans. The government listened to your phone calls. Also made a big mistake. He put missiles on an island called Cuba. Cuba is very close to America. The American president, John F. Kennedy, said, "Take them away or we will fight." The world held its breath. Was this the end? Was World War III starting? At the last minute, Khrushchev said, Okay, I will take them back." The world was safe. But Khrushchev looked weak. His friends fired him. The next boss was Brezhnev. He had very big eyebrows. He liked medals. He pinned medals on his chest all the time. Under Brezhnev, the USSR became boring. The economy stopped growing. They spent all their money on the army and bombs, but the people were still poor. They called this the time of stagnation. It means nothing moved. It was just stuck. Then the USSR made a bad choice. They invaded a country called Afghanistan. They wanted to help a communist government there. But the people in Afghanistan fought back hard. It was like the American war in Vietnam. The Soviet soldiers fought there for 10 years. Many died. It cost a lot of money. They did not win. They just went home tired. By the 1980s, the USSR was like an old car. It was rusty. It was running out of gas. The old bosses kept dying. Then a new man became the boss. His name was Mikhail Gorbachev. He was young. He had a mark on his head. He looked at the country and said, "Guys, this is not working. We need to fix this." Gorbachev had two big ideas. Idea number one, perestroika. This means rebuilding. He wanted to fix the economy. He let people open small shops. He let people make a little money. Idea number two, glasnost. This means openness. He said, "You can talk now. You can tell the truth. You can say if the government is bad." He thought this would save the USSR. He was wrong. When people started talking, they did not stop. They said, "We hate this. We want freedom. We want blue jeans. We want to listen to rock and roll." The countries that the USSR controlled in Europe, like Poland and East Germany, said, "We are leaving." Gorbachev was a nice guy. He said, "Okay, I will not send the tanks." This was a huge surprise. Usually, the USSR sent tanks, but Gorbachev let them go. In 1989, the people in Berlin smashed the big wall that split the city. They danced on top of it. The Iron Curtain fell down. Inside the USSR, different groups wanted to leave too. Ukraine wanted to leave. The Baltic states wanted to leave. Gorbachev tried to keep everyone together. He said, "Please stay. We can be friends." They said, "No thanks." Some old generals were angry. They thought Gorbachev was ruining everything. They tried to kidnap him. They put tanks in the streets of Moscow. They said, "We are the bosses now." But the people were not afraid anymore. They stood in front of the tanks. A man named Boris Yeltsin climbed on top of a tank. He shouted, "Go away! We want democracy!" The army did not shoot. Gorbachev came back, but he had no power left. The Soviet Union was breaking into 15 different pieces. On December 25, 1991, something sad and amazing happened. Gorbachev went on TV. He looked tired. He said, "I quit." They lowered the red flag with the hammer and sickle from the Kremlin. It came down for the last time. They put up the white, blue, and red flag of Russia. The Soviet Union was gone. Just like that. One of the biggest empires in history disappeared. There was no big war. It just ran out of money and hope. Now, Russia and the other countries were free to try something new. Was it easy? No. It was very hard. But that is a story for another time.